Good evening. We will call the meeting to order. This is the time and the place for the regular board meeting for the Marshalltown Community School District. Welcome to all of you joining us here in person. Welcome as well to anybody who might be watching via the live stream or watching at a later date or time. We've got a few, well, let's do introductions first. There we go. Well, we'll start with board members. To my left, we have Maria Morales and Leah Stanley. To my right, Zach Wall, Elizabeth Wise, and Sarah Faltis. To my left here at the center of the table is Dr. Theron Schutte, the superintendent of schools. And to my right, Mr. Randy Denham, our board secretary. I am Sean Heitman. We've also got three of our student school board reps here this evening, Caitlin Yepes Ramirez, Lege Paw, and Charles Gilbertson. We've got a pink sign-up sheet there on the speakers table for anybody who wants to address the board during public comment. You will be given 5 minutes to speak to the board. Iowa law prohibits the discussion of specific employees of the district or their job performance. And also, in accordance with board policy, board members will not respond to comments so that we can comply with open meeting laws. With those items out of the way, would everyone please join me in reading the mission statement of the Marshalltown School District? We develop learners who have the knowledge, skills, and positive mindset to successfully pursue a meaningful future through personalized learning experiences. And please stand as you're able and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
Yes, we have one amendment to the personnel agenda. It is bittersweet for me to share with the board that Matt Kretzinger, our Director of Special Services, has submitted his letter of resignation, having recently verbally accepted a regional administrator position over all of special education for Heartland AA. Matt has been with us for the past 13 years, our most senior district administrator, and obviously has done a tremendous amount for the district in that regard, as well as for our efforts in social emotional learning. So I've asked Matt to say a few words to the board. It's all good.
I just really appreciate the last 13 years. You guys have been very supportive. It's a great community. It is a very bittersweet change for me, but it's really the best for me and my family at this time. So I wish Marshalltown the very best.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. We need to approve the agenda as amended, I think. Is there a motion to do that?
So moved. Second.
Morales? Faltis? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Abby, you've got some recognitions?
So I know for one or two board presentations that I've given about social media, you've heard me talk about our social media ambassadors. And since February, over 30 individuals in the district have received monthly training from Andrea Gribble and the Social School for EDU program. These social media ambassadors have applied what they've learned to their building social media, helping our community stay informed about what's happening in our classrooms and fostering greater investment in the Marshalltown Community School District. I brought a few of them here tonight to talk about the work that they've been doing, what they've seen through the power of social media. These three are phenomenal examples of social media ambassadors. They have great content coming out. Usually when I hop onto Facebook itself and I see some of the things these three are producing and their brainstorming, their creativity, it's amazing to see what stories they are able to produce. So I'm going to pass over the microphone to them. They'll introduce themselves and kind of talk about their experience with social media.
I'm Emily Van Arkel, a teacher librarian at Miller. And so I work on the Facebook page along with Mr. Glenn and Mrs. Kell. And it's just been a really kind of eye-opening experience to see just how much these posts mean to the community. It's awesome to see, we put just a giant, accomplishment, like students who've made honor band, for example, and that post gets 300 likes and all these shares and all these comments, which has really been great. But then also it's been really fun to find kind of just the little moments within the classroom. I try to make a habit of always having my phone with me if I'm, around the building in the hallways, because there's just some great things happening, and parents and community members love to see those just as much. And so that's been really, really exciting. And it's been also really great to keep getting teachers involved and kind of showing them how much those little moments in the classroom matter as well, and getting them to share their content, and they're taking photos and sending all those things as well. So it's been a great experience, and I'm just excited to keep working hard at it this year.
Hi, my name is Suhei Alvarez, and I'm the School Resource Specialist at Rogers Elementary. I work alongside with Tanya and Miss Will with our social media page, and I think it's been a fantastic opportunity just showcasing our school. Like, we have new updates that we've done to our school, so it was fun showcasing that. Just showcasing overall what our students are doing in the building, our staff, and I think it's been positive interactions with our families, with all the comments, and the community partners. And I think the staff are having a great time sending us pictures.
Thank you. My name is Blake Cutright, Hoagland PE teacher. Similar things that they were kind of saying, but one of my favorite things is the buy-in from our school. So I work with our principal, Miss Williams, and our media specialist, Miss Sellers. The whole staff is constantly coming up to us with some new ideas that they see. But our biggest thing is we're trying to paint a picture for families to see, like, hey, these are things that are going on. This is how we're building relationships, those kind of things. And we're getting, like they said, we're getting tons of comments, very positive things that are going on. Plus, we like to get a little extra creative with some of our videos to even get more likes and engagement. But overall, it's been a great experience. We've learned a lot of new things. And yeah, we just want to show everybody like those little things that go on during the day, but also show those big things that happen and show why we're such a fun district and the things that we do. So,
Questions, comments from anybody?
Go ahead. I even think that I've seen some students get excited when they see themselves, in social media. Nowadays, social media is a big, platform. So seeing, those students get excited because they made it to social media makes them really excited. So it's those little things that might be little for us, but for our students, it's really meaningful to them. So thank you for everything you guys are doing and for being great ambassadors.
I know I get excited when I see the post, so thank you for all you're doing.
It also helps, like you mentioned, Abby, show the community all the great things that we're doing as well, or especially, the teachers and the students are doing at the different schools. And I'm sure it also gives an idea to other schools that they're not doing something, say, hey, we want to do this too. Friendly competitions, right?
I think that's kind of one of the things I've noticed, at least with two of them. One, Rogers and Woodbury, and I would also say like Hoagland as well. They have a lot of fun with the videos that they produce and put out there. I know it's friendly competition really between those three of I put this video out and then someone will try to one-up it, but I know they're having fun with storytelling. They're having fun showing what happens within the classroom, within their buildings, and it's really, igniting pride within the school staff and the students within the building.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Thanks for coming tonight, too.
Thank you.
Going to invite Ryan Isgrig and Brady up here. Marshalltown Legends American Grill manager Brady Rideout will be presenting a donation check in the amount of $1,761 to Activities Director Ryan Isgrig based on the number of Bobcat burgers sold this past year, for which $1 for every purchase goes to MHS Activities. Ryan, if you want to say anything, or Brady.
You just want to take the money, man. This year you guys won the trophy. This is our second year going. Last year, East Marshall Mustangs won the most Bobcat, or the most burgers sold during the 12-week time frame we had. This year, MHS won the award. So we do have a traveling trophy. Kind of had the name and the plaque next to it, so you guys get to keep it for a year. Hopefully you guys keep it for a couple years, and I don't have to come back and get it next year. So the battle will start taking place. Usually it's about the time of Lent. Right around that area is when we do the Battle of the Burgers. This year it's still going to be the same competition, MHS, East Marshall, West Marshall, to see who comes out and who puts forth the most points. One of the cool things with it too, like with Marshtown, we have double dollar days on Wednesday for you guys. So every time you come out and get a Bobcat burger on a Wednesday, you get double the amount of money. So, but within the year, starting from September 1st through August 31st, you guys made the school and everybody around made the school $1,761. So I'm just going to keep that check right in the trophy with it. Hand that over to you, sir, and you can do what you want. And this is also a plaque we made that will be at the school. Kind of want to show everybody it's just not a 1 or 2 year thing. We're planning on filling this up and having more and more going throughout the many years we're going to be open and rocking it. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brady.
They want to take your picture, Brady.
You tried.
You almost avoided it.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
trophy. Yeah.
We can still see you.
Thanks, guys.
Ryan, you
Thank
can
you.
bring the check over here.
Just in case you were confused.
Mine is
Randy likes the money.
If only it was that easy at home.
It's the other way.
Right.
No. Each year at this time, we recognize our employee veterans, of which I believe we have 19 currently, at least 19 that have indicated such. And so I've asked Mr. Heitman, our board president, to read the proclamation for Veterans Day.
Yeah, thank you. A proclamation on National Veterans and Military Families Month 2024. Each veteran and military family represents a link in a chain of honor that stretches back to our founding days, unwavering in their devotion to their loved ones who served in uniform. This month, we honor all of our military and veteran families. They too serve and sacrifice to answer our nation's call to duty. We owe them a debt of gratitude we can never fully repay. I often say that, as a nation, we have many obligations, but only one is truly sacred: to prepare and equip those we send into harm's way and to care for them and their families when they come home. We are continually working to make sure that our nation's veterans and service members have access to the benefits and care they deserve. I have signed more than 34 bipartisan bills to better support our service members, veterans and their families, caregivers, and survivors. One of those bills, the Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson Honoring Our Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxics Act, was the most significant expansion of benefits and services for toxic exposed veterans and survivors in nearly 30 years. To date, more than 1.1 million veterans and over 11,000 survivors are now receiving new service-connected disability benefits and over 796,000 veterans have newly enrolled in Veterans Affairs healthcare since the law was enacted. This law is helping families who lost loved ones to toxic illness gain access to critical resources and services, including monthly benefits, educational assistance, home loans, and more. Actions outlined in our national strategy to prevent military and veteran suicide are tackling the root causes of the military and veteran suicide crisis, including by better supporting families through the Governor's Challenge to Prevent Suicide Among Service Members, Veterans, and their families. And we are making progress in eliminating homelessness and improving financial security for veteran and military families. Too often, veteran and military families become the targets of bad actors and scam artists. My administration's Veteran Service Member Family Fraud Evasion Initiative is providing easy, one-stop access to resources to report fraud and get help from the federal government to combat scams. Additionally, I signed an executive order that implemented historic bipartisan military justice reforms to transform how the military handles sexual assault and domestic violence cases. And I directed the Department of Defense to review pay and benefits for our service members, an important step toward ensuring their compensation reflects their service and sacrifice. Military-connected families sacrifice for our country, answering the call to duty over and over again. Many military and veteran spouses, caregivers, and survivors struggle to achieve their desired career goals due to unique challenges military-connected families face. This is why I signed an executive order that takes the most comprehensive set of administrative actions in history to support the economic security of military families and veteran spouses, caregivers, and survivors. I encouraged federal agencies to do more to retain military spouses through flexible policies, ensuring they have access to stable jobs throughout their careers. Last year, I signed an executive order that directed more than 50 actions to improve the care economy, which included critical actions to better support military and veteran caregivers and expand access to military childcare. These orders build on the efforts taken by my administration to improve the quality of life for military families, including initiatives to ease military moves, afford housing, and find childcare. Joining forces, the First Lady's initiative is working to better support military and veteran families, doing everything from making school transitions easier for military children to expanding economic opportunities for military spouses and caregivers. This is personal for my family and me. We know the pride of seeing your child wear the uniform of the United States. We know the pain of long deployments far from home. We know what it is like to pray for the safe return of someone you love. This month, may we show our immense gratitude for our military and veteran families, whose courage and dedication represent the best of who we are as a nation. Now, therefore, I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim November 2024 as National Veterans and Military Families Month. I call upon the people of the United States to honor veterans and military families with appropriate ceremonies and activities.
One of my favorite things each year is to track these people down and to personally thank them for their service, as well as to provide a small token of the board and administration's appreciation for their service. So I'll be doing that by week's end.
So with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We've got minutes from the last board meeting held on October 21st. Jackie, are there any items to note in personnel?
At this time, we want to recognize the retirement of B. Klauenberg. B joined the food service team recently as a way to spend her last couple working years before retirement. In her short time with us, she has moved up the ranks from general worker to lead worker for the MHS Cooks Department. B brings a sense of humor and calm demeanor with her to work each day that we will miss terribly. We wish her well in her retirement, and that is from Lynn Large, the Director of Food Service.
Thank you, Jackie. We've got a couple of interagency agreements and contracts. an agreement with Iowa Workforce Development for a reobligation of funds related to the Teacher and Paraeducator Registered Apprenticeship Program, and a memorandum of understanding between the National Hispanic Institute and the Marshalltown High School for the Summer Leadership Program. We've also got special education agreements with GMG for 29 kids, if I'm adding those right. Questions about any of those agreements or contracts?
Yes, I do have one question. For the special education agreement, all of the start dates and end dates are the same date? Was that intentional?
Yeah.
It is intentional. So when we do open enrollments, there are certain dates and timelines we run to process that paperwork, and so that's what that's reflecting.
Just the time to run the paperwork?
Essentially, we
Okay.
release contracts at a certain time and agreements between districts, and then we submit money during certain times as well. So you'll see times where pretty heavy influx of these agreements coming in.
I don't know if that answers my question.
She's asking why the start and end date are similar.
They're the.
Right, so like the,
Start date 7/1/2024, end date 7/1/2024.
Sorry, no, those would be typos. I thought
Okay.
you were asking about why we had loads coming in at certain periods of time, so.
All right, just the
No,
dates are,
the start dates
need to be updated
appear to be accurate. Yeah, the end dates would be something we would need to update.
It's for the whole school year.
for the whole school year.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all right.
any other questions about those agreements or contracts? Looking at open enrollments, there are 7 out. Randy, anything to note in bills?
There is not.
Any questions for Randy about bills? We've got a few donations or gifts to the district. The $1,761 donation from Legends, which Brady Riddott was here about earlier. A couple of donations from Hope United Methodist Church, one being an in-kind donation of items for the health office, clothing, and hygiene pantries. And then gift certificates totaling $1,700 for the laundromat for families in need. And then a donation from Stephanie Edwards from the Period Pouch Group, donating period pouches for all elementary schools for their growth and development presentations. Any questions about anything in the consent agenda? Not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Stanley Morales, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Nobody's on the pink sheet. You guys are up.
Okay, so to start us off, NHS hosted a blood drive last Wednesday, and 46 people signed up to donate. Only 39 were able to, due to some people being turned away for not being heavy enough, and maybe their iron deficiency levels were not high. So they certain medical reasons. Safety first for that. So with that, we had 23 first-time donors. Usually, so that's just the junior class, people becoming of age. You have to be, I believe, 16 to donate. And then with that, 42 units of blood were collected. And so that's equivalent to around 126 lives saved or sustained. So overall, it was a really good time. With that, NHS partners with LifeServe, and that's a good group to have. And I think they are coming back for the spring to do one in the spring. So yeah.
NHS also had a movie night. We had around 50 students. We did have some technical difficulties, but after we figured out how to actually use a projector, yeah, it's a little rough. Everyone had a lot of fun. It was very fun.
How much money was raised?
We raised $100. It was never really about the money, more so student involvement. So that's exactly what we got. We got a lot of students to come. I was very happy about that. For dance team, we had 6 soloists, and they all received a Division I rating. And Rachel Schiebel will be going on to state solos.
So a couple of weeks ago, there's cross-country districts. I mentioned that, I think, last time. With that, cross-country, so the boys got second in their, they got third overall, my bad. I was thinking about conference. So they got third overall, and so this is the first year in, I believe since 2010, that the cross-country boys team qualified for state. And this is the first team, I think, since 2019 from Marshalltown to qualify as a team for state. So a very nice achievement by that group. The girls also had several good times. Other notes for that meet was that Preston Johnson placed second, and there's about 2 other people that placed in the top 10. So overall, there's great performances. And then for that following, I think that Thursday, there's the Iowa Alliance Conference swim meet and dive meet. With that, Kate Hauser placed first there, and she was crowned champion with that. We also had, for the swim side, several really good performances by Leia Hernandez. Who else? Adele Beek. Other people, they all got around top 3, which is very good considering Ames is in our conference and they're a very good program. So overall, there's really good performances, and we got second in the conference meet.
Then on the 26th, Trunk or Treat was held at MHS parking lot, and there were a lot of participation from the community and school organizations such as Interact, Student Senate, Health and Careers Club, Speech and Debate, and many more. It was really great to see the creativity with the costumes and the involvement from the students to help the community. And here are additional photos from Trunk or Treat. I helped with Health and Careers, and we created a scary maze for the community. And the day before Trunk or Treat, the students put in their creativity in creating designs for the maze. And overall, the feedback from the scary maze was positive, and there were a lot of positive feedbacks. Sorry. And it was overall a really fun activity. Any questions?
Charlie, did you talk about cross-country state?
I will talk about cross-country state next time.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, if there's any questions about cross-country state you guys would like to know, I can answer, but I was planning on chunking it up a little bit. Sorry. I don't know.
So I believe our boys were the 15th seeded of 15 teams, and they finished 13th, so that was good.
So with that, so I was a manager for cross country this year for the boys team, and it seemed like state rankings were set against us a lot throughout the season, and we were 15th going in, but we knew we were a lot better, and we ended up getting 13th. Preston, who was supposed to be 9th overall, he was seeing 9th. He sadly got 67th because he had the flu and a fever beforehand, and yet we still did really well, and we were 1 point behind Waukee for 12th. So if he was feeling healthy, we could have maybe done a lot better, but we still did extraordinary for our first time back at the state meet. So yeah.
And we had an all-stater.
Yes, and then John Mullers, who's a senior this year, he was placed 15th, yes, and that was really good. He was behind in the last stretch, and he managed to catch up to a Dowling Catholic kid and a Cedar Falls kid in the last moments, and it was a really good moment for him. Okay, so maybe I won't do the state meet next time.
Thank you, guys. Tara, or whoever's coming up. A lot of us.
I think there's too many of us. Let's go down. Slide over.
There you go. Hi, I'm Quinn Eastman. I'm currently serving as the president, and I'm a junior.
I'm Luke Stalzer. I'm a sophomore, and I'm the Sentinel.
I'm Harley Thatcher. I'm a sophomore and I'm the reporter.
I'm Austin Taylor. I'm the vice president, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Sean Rideout, and I'm not an officer, and I'm in 10th grade.
My name's Kennedy Lammer. I'm a senior, and I'm also not an officer.
I'm Gavin Freiberg. I'm a sophomore, and I'm an aspiring officer. And we have some information to share with you about our national FFA convention trip. So I'll start us off here. So on our way out to Indianapolis, where our convention is held, we stopped at the John Deere Pavilion in Moline, Illinois. And there were a lot of other FFA students actually there we got to collaborate with, but we got to do a scavenger hunt and learn more about their agriculture equipment and how it helps our farming industry. So that was a really fun experience.
Our first stop once we got to Indianapolis was Top Golf. Overall, it was a great experience and a great way to start a trip and a really fun time.
So next up, the next day, we kind of did some other activities, but we ended up stopping at the FFA mega store that they host, like in the convention hall over by that area. And we got to meet somebody from Puerto Rico, which was also the farthest that we got. And then also on Thursday night, we ended up playing spoons out in the hotel lobby, and we got to do that with some kids from West Virginia. We had some Michigan people also there too, and there's just a bunch of other FFA chapters. And then we also took over the pool one night. Nobody else came and joined us. It was only us in there. And that It's a Party is also a video if you guys wanted to play it. It kind of shows like what our lobby looks like. Oh.
I guess not.
I guess not.
Just kidding.
All right, so the day of the actual convention, Thursday?
Yes.
Thursday. Got up real early, went to Lucas Oil Stadium, and there they had a guest speaker. What was his name? Kevin something. So he was Kevin Wagner. And so he was a comedian. He had a really great message for all of us. Someone else talking about the rodeo.
Then later that night, we attended a rodeo there. That was a really fun experience. The crowd was really good for the rodeo. Some really good rides. And it was a fun bonding experience for our chapter. We also saw other people from other FFA chapters. And then you can see me in the bottom right. That was at the hotel one day. Just an example of how much fun we had. Right before the rodeo, I guess. So we had a lot of fun, played cards, and I got a new hat. So.
So one of the places that we went to was the RDM Shrimp Farm, and we toured their facility, and they showed us all of their pools with their shrimps in them, and they also told us about the shrimp that are usually in our stores are imported from other countries, and they usually don't eat them because they're packed with like chemicals and antibiotics.
That was really interesting to learn just about the process of our United States grown shrimp and the quality and how just the life of shrimp is raised and how it all works. So
They also did in fact mention that when they started their production that they were the third in the country to do that. So that was pretty interesting. And yeah.
So on Friday, we stopped in Chicago, and one of the places that we stopped at was the Chicago School of Agricultural Sciences. We got to tour the whole high school, so this is essentially a place that kids can go and they pick a career path that they want to follow, and they follow that throughout most of their high school career. They gave us a tour of their farm. So they have a farm on their campus at school with actual livestock that kids can show and just raise. So it was really cool to learn all about that.
Okay, so on our way back from Indiana, we were able to stop in Chicago. We went to Sears Tower, that's the bottom photo there, and we got to see the city from high above. And we also went to the Bean and Navy Pier.
At the Navy Pier, we kind of just walked around, got to see, we did a little bit of shopping, and that was that.
But this was a cool experience because most of us haven't been to Chicago before, so this was a great experience for us.
And then some other things that we did was while we were in Indianapolis, we stopped at Buckadee Bippos, and there's two left-hand photos. You just see like the girl side and then kind of like the boy side, and that was it. And then in Chicago, we stopped at Giordano's Pizza because you can't leave Chicago without getting some Chicago original pizza.
Did you like it?
It was good pizza.
Probably the best pizza I've ever had.
And unfortunately, he had a piece of pizza stolen from him, so that's been a big controversy lately.
It's PTSD now.
Is there any questions?
So trivia question for you. Lucas Oil Field, was that pretty awesome?
It was.
So guess what high school chief architect of that facility was from?
Wild guess. I'm going to guess here.
Marshall High School. And for extra credit points, what class was?
I'm going to guess your graduating class.
All right.
Good job, Kennedy.
The only
Actually, he assisted with the auxiliary gym in phase 2 of the Roundhouse. So. Pretty cool.
I already knew that, so I didn't guess. But
Did you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Any other close our meeting with it, right? So.
Any other questions from anybody?
No, but it looked really fun.
It was a lot of fun. I think a lot of us are excited to go next year, except for me, 'cause I'll be in college.
We'll FaceTime you.
I'll just meet you guys there.
I'd say kudos to Mrs. Gray for packing in so many different experiences for the kids. Sometimes we take it for granted, like going to Chicago or something like that. But yeah, for some, that's a pretty amazing experience. So,
where's the shrimp place?
It was, I'd say, an hour and a half out of Chicago. It was in the rural area, so it was actually on their farm. They had I think it was the 2010 they started. It was, they were looking to get into a different type of livestock, and they somehow stumbled upon shrimp. So it was kind of neat to learn about.
Well, they originally were a hog farm, and then they moved and couldn't do it anymore because it was just costing too much. And then they were going to do tilapia, and then they got referred to do shrimp. And then they also have a bunch of other fish in there now. Yep, they have rescue turtles, and then another type of tilapia because there's a genetic mutation in there that makes them pink and gray.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
oh, and I just want to say for those of you that helped with the ribbon cutting event and the CTE, you guys were great representatives of our school district to the community, so thank you.
Good evening. Here to give you kind of our annual update of Marshalltown Virtual Academy.
and I believe Paula is going to lead us off tonight.
All right. Well, let's get started. All right, so let's start off with a definition of virtual learning. So virtual learning is anytime, anywhere learning, usually asynchronous, which means self-paced. Students can be at home, at the library, anywhere they need to be. So, and MVA uses mostly asynchronous learning. All right, so why a virtual academy? Well, in our world of choice, right, many families want the option to put their students where they want them. Sometimes they're not within our community, or sometimes they're on the go. They have different schedules that may require that they're not in Marshalltown. There's also an increase in anxiety and depression among our young people. So they also, at least they're getting school through a virtual situation. We also know that virtual learning is everywhere. So this is something that keeps growing every year. More and more people are on the go or they're at home versus being in a brick and mortar building. And so we want to be responsive to our families and give them this option. So some of the features of MVA are we're flexible, self-paced. Students are able to work at their pace. It also provides some personalized learning. There are pre-tests to every component in our system, so they're able to take those pre-tests and then not have to go through work that they already know, so that helps them accelerate their learning. Students often grow beyond 1 year in the virtual academy because they're able to do so. There's no more time-bound semesters, so they can keep going as long as they're learning. We're open right now to students in 8th through 12th grade. Sometimes students are part-time and they're taking some classes at MHS. Sometimes they're full-time virtual students. One of the great things we offer is that students can be a part of sports and music and clubs, whether they're Marshalltown students within our community or within another district in Iowa. And of course, virtual does not mean that students are on their own. There are teachers who are giving them check-ins. There are office hours, so students can come in and get some help in a Google Meet with a teacher. Students are also given extensive written feedback on their assignments, so they know exactly what they're missing or not missing. They also have access to other district supports such as ELL for our English language learners, XLP for our advanced kids, and special education. And in our 8 through 12 learning management system, we have over 200 courses available for students to use at the high school level. This covers core, electives, and even CTE or career and technical education courses for them.
So at this point of the fall right now, we have 112 students at MVA, and kind of as an illustration of the mobility, I prepared this slide last week, Tuesday. That's changed already. It's larger than that, and I had 2 inquiries today for additional seats in MVA. So it continues to be a pretty popular option for our students. And you can see kind of the grade breakdown right there. We have about 50 to 52, 53 seniors this year, which is by far our largest senior class that we've had in a long, long time, ever, for this program. So, last 2 years ago, we graduated 16 students. Last year, I gave this presentation, I believe, in early May. We had 6 graduates at that point in early May. We finished up with 21 graduates last year. We've had 1 young man that has graduated this year already. So I'm going to apologize for this slide. I think I jumped the gun a little bit. We've had some conversations about stair-stepping up to potentially a 9-12 only program. I don't think we've kind of settled on a final decision yet. So we're 8 through 12 this year, and we're I think looking at data to see whether 9-12 or 8-12 suits us better. So one of the interesting aspects of this is you can see 84% of our students are Marshalltown resident students. And that includes some students who revoke their open enrollment out to become Marshalltown resident students. So it might have been somebody who was attending a neighboring school district who then chose to come back to do virtual in our district, so they revoked their open enrollment out. So those are in our resident student count. We have about 16% of our kids, I believe, as of last week, Tuesday, we had 18 open enrollment in kids. I think by the end of this week, we'll probably have 21 or 22. But that's sort of been a popular pathway. So our program has a reasonable reputation around the state, and so we continue to attract new kids. So the mobility, I think, has been a challenge for teachers. We have to get to know people real fast, and sometimes they're with us and sometimes they're gone. So at the start of school this year, we started with 90, which is more than we've ever started with. We've had 26 additions so far this year. We've had 1 graduate and 3 students so far who I have, I guess, more or less counseled to other options because they just haven't engaged at a sufficient level in online learning. And I think there's more of those coming. But as our historical trend through the years, we have a bigger net inflow than a bigger net outflow. So that gives you that data. This year, right now, we are sitting at 2.49 teaching FTE. We are fully staffed in the core, which has been wonderful. It's helped us a lot. These are all Iowa resident, Iowa certified teachers. They come from places like Pella, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Hiawatha, Tripola. So they work remotely, and they work for us here in Marshalltown. I know that was fairly brief, but any questions about where we're at and where we're going?
I know Paula made a general comment, which I agree with, which is virtual learning has grown exponentially in the country. Has that been the case in Iowa? Because I know when Iowa first allowed districts to get accredited, there were maybe 17 different online programs. Do you know how many there are now? Or
I know it's more than it was last year, and I have had, in the last week, I've had 2 calls from school districts around Iowa saying, hey, we're really looking at ramping up our virtual offerings. Would you talk to us about your experiences and what you've learned? I'm like, well, sure, yeah. So I think it's a growing phenomenon, I think, around the state.
I think one of the lessons learned was, it takes some either independence, ability to be independent on the student's part, or to have someone at home that can help provide guidance, direction, assistance. And so, during the pandemic, a lot of schools tried to do K-12, and I think most have gone away from the elementary and in some cases maybe even the middle school, just because of the challenges with readiness of students to learn in that.
Yeah, so we have learned a lot. I know that this requires a lot of active management on my part, especially as the administrator, to be reaching out to families and saying, hey, it's been 3 days since your child's been online. Hey, it's been 2 days since your child's been online. There's an attendance standard you have to meet. Everybody that comes to us starts on a 4-week trial. And that exists to sort out the folks who are pretenders from the contenders, I guess, if you want to call it that. We have folks who will try to use virtual enrollment as a dodge for Iowa's compulsory attendance law, for instance. And so we sort that out pretty carefully. It certainly has been my experience that someone that is not engaging in in-person education is not likely to do much better in a virtual setting. So some folks that come to my office and try to convince me that they're candidates for virtual learning don't get to virtual learning, because it's just the best predictor I have is their past behaviors, and if that doesn't work out, then it's just not a good fit.
What factors are you looking at for trying to decide around the 8th grade, keeping 8th grade in or moving away from 8th grade virtual?
So I think a couple of things have happened there. We had some trouble getting some of our middle school kids to be engaged, and those kids are at times young enough to be home alone, but aren't maybe young enough to make, they're not going to get themselves in trouble at home, but they're also not going to be self-starters at home. I think like Dr. Schutte was saying, there's got to be somebody around there that says, time for school. And we talk to all of our families, and my advice to them is you need to treat virtual school like getting up for school. Get up in the morning, fuss yourself, do what you need to do, eat your Cocoa Puffs, and sit down and do school. And that's the best pattern of success, is the kids that do the best have well-established routines and stick to those routines. If you wait to do it till you feel like it, you're not likely to do it often enough to benefit from it.
What's your capacity for a program like this?
So I think in terms of licenses and capacity, we have probably capacity for 200. At the rate we're staffed right now, we don't have capacity for 200. I know on the special education side, you're pretty involved with meeting with most students 3 or 4 times a week. Some students 5 times a week, depending on their needs. So Paula's super busy. Her office is down the hall from me, and I can almost know when she's heading down the hallway to take a quick personal time out because she's scheduled really tight. And so I think the kids that engage with our teachers online, accept Paula's help and support, especially on the special education side. We can serve kids that have diverse needs. I think we've proven that. But they have to get on, they have to be willing to engage, and they have to be willing to do it. And so her and I sit in a lot of Google Meets with families and try to problem solve a whole variety of situations.
Do we have the capability of doing like a hybrid program, whether for 8th graders or freshmen, to come in 1 day a week and then the rest home, or?
We aren't staffed for that right now. So the hybrid that we do offer folks, and we offer this 8-12, is to be dual enrolled in each building. So if you're an 8th grader and you want band and you want social studies at Miller, you can go to Miller for social studies and band, and you can do the rest of your courses virtually. Same thing at the high school. We have a few students, not very many, not as many as we used to, that might want their foreign language in person rather than online. some kids in band and orchestra or chorus that will go to school for those things. But generally, in the virtual world, especially in the upper grades, if we're sharing an enrollment with them, they're out at MCC. They're doing something at MCC, either in the career and technical field or the pre-liberal arts track.
Of the 2.5 FTEs that you have, how many are, I mean, is it really just one FTE on site? Yeah, okay. And then the rest, that other 1.5 is little bits and pieces of different people's time. You said there are several. How many teachers do you have total, like different people who are involved in the teaching experience for those students?
7.
Okay.
I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Since this is self-paced, is there a minimum of hours that they're required to do per week or per day?
Yeah, we tell our families that for students that come to us on pace and on credit, that the bare minimum of engagement is 20 hours in a week. And we define a week as Sunday through Saturday, which is how we try to input our attendance. But if you come to us and you're a sophomore and you are credit deficient, to meet that 4-year window, you need more time. So those are pretty nuanced conversations based on their individual situations.
Thank you.
Do you find a lot of these students are working and doing school online?
We have a number of kids, I would say probably more than a dozen, that are working between 30 and 40 hours a week. And they're doing school at all different times. And I would say that in most of those situations, it's an economic necessity. It's not a choice. A lot of our kids are supporting their families.
Any other questions, comments from anybody? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Might recognize someone here with us. He's been very excited to be back. Okay, this is very exciting to be able to update you on our teacher para registered apprenticeship or TPRA program. Definitely a program that Julie, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this story, but I think I was in my first year in this position, maybe second, I can't remember. And Julie came to me and said, Shauna, I think maybe you might need a little help with that program. She's never regretted it ever since. She's done an amazing job. Honestly, she's set up mentorships. I feel like we have individuals who have thrived through the program and are continuing to thrive, and I just really cannot thank Julie enough. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to her.
So we're going to share some overview information first, and then you can see we've brought 2 apprentices with us. We're going to talk about 3 apprentices, but 2 are with us tonight that they're going to get to share a little bit about their story. So starting with the overview, go to this slide. So you've heard a little bit about TPRA, so this might be, you might have heard these details before, but funding began back in 22-23 school year, and that funding comes in partnership from the Iowa Department of Education and Iowa Workforce Development. We have 2 pathways that we're engaged with that's helping to build our educator workforce and our Grow Your Own. So we are participating in Student to Para, which our MHS students can earn their para certification. And then Para to Teacher, where our employed paras can become certified teachers. The program pays full tuition and a portion of that para wage. We're working under a consortium for both pathways, and I'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. And then we also have multiple higher education partners for coursework. So if you're a student, you can earn dual credit through MCC. If you are a para and you're working on your BA, we have 2 higher ed partners that we work through. We work with Western Governors University, which is more of a competency-based program. It gives a lot of flexibility. Or they can choose William Penn University, which is more of a traditional semester by semester. And we have apprentices that are in both, so they get to choose what works best for them. The new apprentice deadline was September 1st, so we can't accept any new apprentices, which is unfortunate, but we're really excited to see the apprentices through that we have to that ending of the funding, which is December 2025. And that was extended, so it's been extended once. It was supposed to be through June of this year, and then the department extended it for a year and a half, so we have until next December. So the next slide gives you a little overview information around each pathway. So if you're a student to para, your goal is to earn a para certification while you're learning and working in the classroom. You get on-the-job training for those students, and then it's also helping fill some of our para shortages. We lead that consortium, so Randy's a big part of that. He's working through on the money, the funding side. And we currently have 2 MHS students that are participating, and we've had 10 total since 2022. And each of those apprentices are assigned a mentor, so a veteran Marshalltown teacher that supports them and helps them build those skills and verifies that those standards are met. If you are a para teacher, your goal is to earn a teaching degree, so your bachelor's degree while you're learning and working in the classroom. We participate in the Cherokee Consortium for that pathway. We were originally allotted 10 spots, and we quickly filled those because of high interest, and we were granted a few extra spots. We currently have 16 apprentices that are enrolled in those 2 universities, so some are at Western Governors, some are at William Penn, and they also are assigned a mentor teacher, a veteran Marshalltown teacher that helps to support them along the way, helps them build skills, and verify that those standards are met. So we have 3 apprentices we're going to highlight this evening. So the first one is Gabby Perez. She wasn't able to join us, but she wrote a really nice summary of her experience in the program. She was one of our first apprentices. She is currently student teaching at Rogers, so she is almost done. She will graduate and finish up her student teaching in January. You can see in her, I'll let you read that on your own, but she just really talks about how this was a dream that she didn't think that she would be able to fulfill. And this just gave her a pathway or an avenue to be able to earn that degree that she has thought about for a long time, and how thankful she is for that opportunity. And then the next slide are our 2 apprentices that we have here tonight. So we have Abraham Madrigal, who started in the program last fall. So he's been an apprentice for a year, works over at Fisher. And then Maria Trowbridge, who is actually our very first graduate. So she just finished up student teaching. She goes to William Penn. Abraham goes to Western Governors. Maria just finished student teaching at Anson and will be getting her teaching license very soon. So I'm going to let Abraham go first if you want to talk just a little bit about your experience.
Yes. So I first started as a student to para. I was introduced to the program by Julie when she gave her presentation at MLA. For a little moment, she gave us a presentation basically explaining her goal onto this and inspiring us seniors, juniors to participate in teaching the para to become getting your teaching degree. I first found that interesting since I loved working with other students. I thought, let me get into that, let me see what it is like. And when I first started that, I really enjoyed working with the students that I got to work with at first. I worked as a special education para for 3-year-olds in the special educational room, and I enjoyed that position as much as I did. And then throughout the summer, I then switched to para to teaching. Then I graduated that same year as well. And then I switched to para to teach, and then I switched positions to now a bilingual language assistant at Fisher Elementary School. and I'm still loving what I do. I enjoy working with the students that I love, and it's still now inspiring me every day to continue to be a teacher that I want to be in the future. Being a bilingual helper also is really inspiring, and I love it so much, seeing helping the students who are coming in as newcomers, helping them learn the English language, helping them adjust to the routines of here, hearing their stories, hearing how it was like their education back home, and now coming here, I have some students who are telling me good stories, bad stories, and then they come to me and they tell me, I love how much help you're helping out. I love the some kindness, the warmness, the loving energy that the school is providing to us, and it just warms my heart to know that information, that we're helping these students, and I wish to further be a teacher that can help both English and Spanish students in the classroom.
Hi, I don't know this. Okay. Hi, my name is Maria Trowbridge. I've been working with the Marshalltown Community School District for 14 years. I started out at Lenahan Intermediate School. I worked there for 8 years as a paraeducator and a bilingual associate. And working with 5th and 6th graders really inspired me to become a teacher. I left Lenahan thinking I would need more money, and since I was working there, I was also getting my associate's degree, so I thought I need to pay some of those loans down. I went to be a banker, personal banker at Great Western Bank, but decided that I was missing working at the school. So when the math tutor position came open at Marshalltown High School, I applied for it right away, interviewed, and I did not get it the first time, but then the person did not stay there for a year, so then I applied again and I got it the second time. So I was so happy, and I actually was a math tutor for Abraham. So
my freshman year, my freshman year of high school is when I got to meet Miss Trowbridge. She was actually an amazing math tutor. I learned so much better from her class than my math teacher, but both teachers were amazing though, but I appreciated her help on the side though, because math was not my strongest suit. As Eric may possibly know from the future, from the past, math was not my greatest area, and I really appreciated Maria so much for the help that she helped me when I was at the high school my freshman year. I was grateful for the help that she gave me.
I love math, as you can tell. So I worked at Marshalltown High School as a math tutor for about 4 years, and then the TPRA program came available to paraeducators to become teachers. So I decided to go back to college to pursue my career in teaching with the help of the TPRA program. So I took classes at William Penn University online as a distance learner, and I'm proud to say that I was able to obtain a 3.5 GPA and above, which really surprised me because working and going to college is not that easy, but I did okay. So then I also qualified for a reduced student teaching. So I just got done student teaching in this October 18th. I did my student teaching at Anson Elementary with Mrs. Jansen with first graders, and I loved it. So I am happy to say that I feel like I already have my teaching degree, my bachelor's degree. I'm just waiting to pay for my license so I can get a teaching position. And I think it was a great opportunity that I have. So I would like to thank my colleagues at MHS for encouraging me to finish my teaching or my college and getting my teaching degree, and my family for the support, and the TPRA program for making it all possible.
I really thought Abraham was going to say that his experience as a student school board representative launched him into.
In a way, well, as you guys were aware, I was really nervous at first presenting the student board member, but then now it helped me build my confidence in public speaking now. So that experience as a student board member really helped so much with my confidence. So I always appreciated that I was given that opportunity. Thank you, Theron, for choosing me.
And students, just so you know, you can apply to be a para, even though
the TPRA deadline is no longer available, you can still work for us as a paraprofessional, so you can help us spread the word on that as well. The TPRA Para to Teacher is no longer available, but if you're interested in working with kids, we would love to have you.
Well, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have a question. Ms. Tropage, what will you be teaching? So what will be your degree be in?
Very good question. I do just have in elementary K through 6, no endorsements, unfortunately. Something got messed up with my schedule, but I wanted to be done as soon as possible, so I could start teaching. I'm actually hoping I end up at Lenahan again. I really love working with 5th and 6th graders, and I love math, so I'm hoping for math and science.
I think our program, as you said, having 16 people in it has been kind of a model in terms of success, because we were able to get more slots because a lot of schools had difficulty figuring out how to get it off the ground and stuff. So credit to you guys for really figuring this out. And then I had the opportunity to speak briefly with the governor about this program and the success that we found despite still having so many unfilled positions. And I know that as she indicated through the extension of the program this year, I think she knows how valuable this program is to trying to help fill the pipeline that we all so desperately need help with. So I'm hoping that they'll continue to find funding somewhere to help support it, because it's going to take this and other things, I think, to right-size this shortage of high-quality teachers.
I just want to thank Randy, because this would not be possible without him, and it has not been easy on the financial side, just kind of figuring out how to work with the TPRA department or Iowa Department of Education, and just kind of, there's a lot of entities, a lot of cooks in the kitchen for it. So I just want to thank you, Randy. I know there's been some headaches along the way, but we really do appreciate you.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, I don't have a question for you guys. It's just more of a comment. I think it would be wonderful if we could figure out a way to make something like this sustainable, right? Without, you know what I mean? Without needing TPRA to give us, or some sort of extra funding to do it. If there'd be a way to figure out how to make it happen long term.
I do think that our TPRA participants want to stay here and serve our Marshalltown community, which is just incredible. So
We have a waiting list. I have at least 6 paras on the list right now that we aren't able to enroll because the deadline already passed. So we have many more paras that are interested. As soon as they found out how amazing this program was, then there just were so many that really love working with children and want to further their education and become a certified teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy's got some exciting news to share with us.
I do, actually. Pleasantly surprised. That's probably the best way I can sum this up tonight. But yeah, I'm here to give the annual update on our certified enrollment count. So certified enrollment happens October 1st of each year. We finalized those reports here in the last week and a half or so. So just a couple quick terms to refresh ourselves on is the 2 main ones that we focus on are certified enrollment and served enrollment. So the certified enrollment is our actual enrollment, but it also includes, the actual enrollment is our resident student count, but it also includes waitings for special ed, supplementary waitings, dual enrollment, et cetera. But that determines basically how the budget is funded for the upcoming year. The other piece that we look at is our actual served enrollment. So it's our actual resident students plus our open enrolled in students less our open enrolled out students. So if you go to the next slide. I know this isn't very good, but both our certified and our served enrollment increased pretty significantly this year. We were actually projecting a decrease in enrollment. If you remember from our budget forecasting last spring, we were projecting, I believe, like an 11 or 12 student drop. Our certified enrollment actually increased 31.07 students, and our actual served enrollment increased 42.65. So very great news as we're getting ready to head into budget season for the upcoming year. And then on the next slide, just kind of our trends of open enrollment in, out, and our net open enrollment. As you can see, the blue bars there is our open enrolled out over the last several years, and then the orange bars are our open enrolled in. I think with the exception of a slight increase of open enrolled out in fiscal year 22. But for the most part, we've seen a steady trend of that net decreasing. So we've been slowly chipping away at that open enrolled out, and we've been seeing a slight increase in that open enrolled in over the last several years. And then on the next slide, just a year-over-year breakdown, you can kind of see how that our served enrollment, so these are the term that's used is butts in seats. So this is the actual kids that we have here that we're serving. So you can see that breakdown of year over year. So there's the 23-24 breakdown compared to what our numbers are looking at for 24-25. So again, it will increase across the board there. And then on the next slide, so as again, budget season's around the corner. So what does that mean? There are two main components for our budget are our enrollment, that certified enrollment plus the state supplementary aid. So we have the first big piece of that puzzle. The second big piece will come hopefully sometime at the end of January, which is when the governor will, she'll make her budget recommendation for the state supplemental aid, and then that'll go through the legislative process. But due to our large increase in enrollment, it means we're not going to be on a budget guarantee for next year. Right now, the rumblings are that it's expected that the SSA for next year will be 2%. So using that estimation, that means that our new money heading into next year at a 2% SSA would right now be 2.60%, which is just a little over $1 million for the district. So that's kind of where we're at right now as we get ready to head into budget season, and that's where things are looking. But again, I think pleasantly surprised is the best way that I can summarize our certified enrollment count this year. Any questions for me?
It looks to me that the open roll in over the last 4 or 5 years is almost doubled. It's more students are coming out of our district into our district. Mm-hmm. What do you credit that to?
Well, the virtual option has helped. Mm-hmm. I think through our efforts to better educate and celebrate the great things that are happening in Marshtown, I think people are making better educated decisions on what the best option is for their kid than maybe operating under perceptions or mistruths about good and bad as it relates to attending Marshtown schools or not and that sort of thing. I mean, it's an amazing trajectory. Sean's the only one that was on the board when I came in 2016, but as he will attest, there was a big concern relative to the degree to which open enroll out, and so over time, I think you see that fewer and fewer kids are going out, although we still have a lot of kids that go out, but we've also grown quite a bit with the open enroll in, and so hopefully we can keep that trajectory moving and get that significantly right-sized. But it's hard, to change people's attitudes, opinions, and perceptions.
I mean, it's very positive to see that our served enrollment is the highest it's been in the last 10 years. So, I mean, that's a positive thing, definitely, for this district.
I think it'd be really interesting had we not experienced the two natural disasters and the pandemic to see where our enrollment would have been, because with both the tornado and the derecho, we took a hit of over 100, maybe even closer to 150 resident students, you know, due to displacement and that sort of thing. So had one or both of those events not happened, I think we'd have a lot higher enrollment than we do now.
I think when other districts are talking about, you know, enrollment going down, it's great to see the position we're in today, when our enrollment's up and people want to be in our district.
Okay. Randy?
I'll probably lump the next two items kind of into one. I don't know if Matt wants to come up and speak to them as well, but the next two items are related to School Budget Review Committee requests for spending authority. So we have two programs that we participate in that we send students to, special ed students to, that were unable to meet some of their IEP needs and goals here. So we have a couple programs that we participate in. One is River Hills out of Cedar Falls, and the other is the Lead Center out of Waverly. So those are two consortiums that we participate in. So the next two items on the agenda are for our share of the administrative cost of that, of those two consortiums. And so there's two requests for the SBRC for spending authority. So this is not a cash asking, it's just a spending authority asking as we, again, get ready for the 25-26 budget season. This will be spending authority request for those two items. And for the River Hills, that amount is $6,688.74, and for the Lead Center, that amount is $1,743.34. Did I miss anything, Matt, or did I sum it up?
No, you hit it. If there's any questions, we can try to field them.
Yep.
I have a question. When they go there, do we bus them?
Yes,
You
we
provide-
transport them.
okay.
Yep. And that feeds into our special ed cost and that special ed.
Okay.
Special education supplement, which is a deficit or, surplus each year, which for the last few years we've had a deficit, but again, that's per the IEP, so we're required to provide those services to those students.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I assume we gotta do these one at a time, right,
Yes,
Randy?
yep, and
Okay.
separate.
So is there a motion to approve the application to the School Budget Review Committee in the amount of $6,688.74 for special education administrative costs associated with River Hills Consortium as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Baltus, Wise? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. And then we need a motion to approve the application to the School Budget Review Committee in the amount of $1,743.34 for special education administrative costs associated with the Lead Center Consortium as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Stanley Morales, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0.
I like that we got both sides of the table with that one, so. Nice.
Yeah, everybody's getting involved tonight.
Everybody's participating, that's good.
We learned a new technical term this evening.
All right. Again, a bearer of good news here tonight, I think. So the next item on the agenda is a resolution to establish an enterprise fund. So as you're aware, we've been working with the Orpheum and trying to establish the coffee shop. So Jules McGrew at the high school is kind of leading that charge with getting some classes and programs set up to students to have a student-run coffee shop business out of the Orpheum Coffee Shop. And so with that, under Iowa school finance law, basically it's going to be a self-sustaining enterprise fund similar to our food nutrition fund program. So before you tonight is just a formal board resolution to allow me as board secretary and treasurer to set up a separate fund to start accounting for those services, and that once those are up and going, hopefully by February 1st, I believe. So
Do we have a starting budget or fund?
So the startup costs are coming out of the general fund, and so right now, I think we're at about $50,000 to $60,000 roughly in startup cost for the coffee shop. But I know Jules has been working on some grants and that too to help offset some of those costs.
So then will those become part of this budget moving forward?
The startup cost, so the startup costs have to come out of the general fund. Any cost, once it's set up and going, that'll be strictly enterprise fund and won't touch any other funds. But we
Okay.
need to get it up off the ground. That is a general fund expense.
Other questions? Then is there a motion to approve the resolution to establish an enterprise fund for a self-sustaining student-run coffee shop as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Wall, Morales, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Policies.
So we have one policy coming back as the first reading. It's 900 guiding principles and objectives for community relations. We made a slight adjustment on that by adding the communications director as a line of support to the superintendent for such communications. Some may think it's the opposite way around, but anyway, this was presented to you at the last meeting, and I would recommend approving it and waiving the second reading.
Any questions? Then is there a motion to amend policy 900 and waive the second reading?
So moved. Second.
Faltis, Stanley, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. And Sarah, I think you had
Yes.
initial reviews.
Yes. 3 policies. The first one, 902.1, news media relations. No changes with that one. Recommendation is to mark as reviewed. 902.2, news conferences and interviews. A change to this one, adding an additional point of contact. So first reading to amend on that one. And then 902.3, news releases. The change would be adding details on responsibility of approval. So also first reading to amend.
Are there any questions for Sarah? Hearing none. 902.1 will be marked as reviewed, and the other 2 policies will come back for a first reading to amend. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Abby, any communications that you'd like to share?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Are you deferring your time to Shauna? Are you deferring your time to Shauna?
If she wants it, that's cool by me.
We have it on there. It's under committee reports, actually.
Oh, perfect. Okay. You, I'm sure, read my summary about 1, 2, 3 Andres and these are notes. So I just wanted to show you some pictures. These are actually professional pictures that you and I sent today, and I asked Theron if I could share them. So our mariachi band actually got to go up on stage and perform La Bamba with 1, 2, 3 Andres, or it's probably Uno, Dos, Tres Andres, but they really actually never did say it out loud. So long story short, it was incredible because they worked with our mariachi band on Wednesday and found out that our kids knew how to play that song, and they just happened to have it as a part of their show. So it was very quick from Wednesday to Friday, and our kids were all up on stage. So Amy, I think there's a few more pictures that we can show you as well. It'd be middle school and high school kids up there. And then just keep in mind that all of our first and second graders were in the audience. So it was very, very interactive. Yes.
Elena went, she's my daughter in second grade, I had to think for a second. And she said it was so much fun, Mom. And she said, my classmates had brothers and sisters on stage and they performed. It was so amazing. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. That's what she told me. So it was well worth it. Well worth it. So very amazing.
And we didn't pay, it was all donated, it was a grant that we partnered with UNI, so it wasn't even something that we had any cost to the district. We are looking into purchasing some 1, 2, 3 Andres community bilingual books for each of the kids that attended first through third, maybe fourth grade. It kind of depends on whether or not it's age appropriate for those older kids. So we're really excited about the opportunity that the kids had. Third and fourth graders actually went to the Orpheum, and that was high energy as well. And then you might have noticed there were some teachers up on stage. So at one point in the show, they call all of the adults up there, and the kids go absolutely wild because their teachers are up there dancing. So there you go. Yep. So anyway, great opportunity for the kids, and I just wanted to share the pictures.
My daughter is in 4th grade, and she also talked about it so much, and she was so excited, and some sign language and different things. And
yes, yeah. So actually the gal, she's in the center of that photo there. She starts off the show saying she can speak English, she can speak Spanish, and she can speak a third language with her hands. And she's almost brilliant in the way that she teaches the kids, because she can very quickly show the American Sign Language for certain words in both English and or Spanish, and the kids pick it up like little sponges. I mean,
my daughter
it was
picked it up.
amazing. Yeah.
And now she's all talking about. So I had a shirt on that I got, and it was all sign language, and she was able to read what it said, and I knew what it said because I knew where the shirt came from. So I was shocked that just from this audience or for this performance, it impacted her, that's what she wanted to do when she grows up, and changed her occupation. Of course, she's a 4th grader. It's going to change more times, but thanks to this, it completely changed. And at home, she was showing me like the different sign language, like for mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, immigrants, and just different ones.
And all of those were taught during that 45-minute show. It is amazing. Yeah, the kids really responded to it. And the 2 performers are just incredible. So very, very fortunate to have participated with them. We actually have another opportunity with Latinas Artes that will involve our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in January. So we'll get to share another there. That's such a great photo. You can just see some of the sign language happening, and the teachers are trying to follow along as she's doing it. So yeah, it's amazing. Very excited for the opportunity that the kids got to experience.
Yeah, Shauna had me go over to the Orpheum one day to observe, and I mean, the kids were just loving every minute of it. And I think one of the more special parts was towards the end, where Andre was going around asking kids where their families came from, and the kids were so proud about sharing where their families came from, and everybody was really excited about that.
Like every kid's hand is up in the air, can't wait to share in the microphone where their family originated. And then they'd have a way to like share it on the big screen, and just the pride that came through and the diversity in the room was just unbelievable, that they could get the kids from just like complacent to that, in 45 minutes. It's just really neat.
And it was great seeing the Orpheum used in that way.
And it came to life, yes. Yeah. I do have a committee report, so I can stay.
Okay, we got to do reminders first.
Okay.
And we can do that. Looks like I get to review policies for the next meeting. Miller will be here to present.
And I think we have the Miller,
There's a Miller visit
school visit on Wednesday.
Yep.
In the
And
morning.
there's something about Miller tomorrow. What is that?
Now I'm hoping. So we are hopefully going to be really happy to see each other on Wednesday.
If you haven't yet, tomorrow is your last chance to vote. So get out and vote.
So everyone watching the live stream right now.
Everyone. I'm sure there's a lot of people still hanging on.
There was a line around the corner from the voting
Yeah.
when I came here, so.
It was, yeah. All right, let's hear your committee report, Shauna.
SIAC. So I think we had
I was there.
Leah and Karina was there. I don't know if you have anything you'd like to share.
Trying to remember what we talked about.
We talked about summer school attendance. I don't know if you remember, Ellie
Yeah,
Harris Medina shared some attendance policy stuff.
The summer school piece was good. I had not recalled that we had been doing that for as long as we had been doing it, and so just seeing, I'd like to see us be able to better tie the summer school attendance to improved performance, and you're starting to do that, which is really good to see. To be able to tie that to improved performance on test scores for students that participate in that with fidelity. So that was good. Anything else on that?
No, you guys, it was the same Bobcat University information that we shared. We also talked a lot about attendance. I skipped the Miller Middle School information and held on to that till the end because we had just a few people in the room that hadn't already heard it. What else? I know there was another big one that we discussed.
I mean, the attendance piece and the policy, and they're adding, did we talk about that in a board meeting that I missed? Okay. So the form, I mean, that was received well by the folks in the room.
Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about, so there's like the extended family leave. There's a Google form that parents will fill out now to help give information to the schools.
And it's very much, how are you going to help your student learn while you're not here? What time are they going to learn? If you're going to be gone for a month, what time are they learning? How are they learning? What supports do you need? Like, it's more involved than just saying, we're pulling our kids out of school for a month to go on an extended leave, a trip to see our family. So I kind of like that aspect of it, where it's, what is your plan going to be for your child to continue to learn when they're not in school?
Regardless of where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I can really remember. We're going to look at attendance in our plans the next time we meet.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Sean. Darren, do you want to say anything at all about the book that everybody has?
Yeah, hopefully people saw the little write-up in the news and notes, but essentially I became familiar with Eric when he presented to the Iowa Economic Development Council a few years back. 2 years ago, we had him come out, work with our administrative team. We met at Raycom, and he spent the morning giving a workshop regarding his book, and then the afternoon he gave an equally as impressive presentation on nonverbal communication, and people enjoyed that so much they were like, we got to get this to more people if we can. And so we were able to schedule him coming back to work with our administrative assistants during the professional development day on December 2nd. And then on the 3rd, he's also scheduled to work with our instructional coaches and curriculum professional development leaders. So Sean and I had a web meeting with him the other day, or a virtual meeting with him the other day, and he was talking to us about his soon-to-be released book, which we got super excited about. And then it just dawned on me, this would be a perfect opportunity for us to do a light reading book study with the board, to have him kind of kick it off with a 1 hour keynote, essentially, in a work session on December 2nd. And then he's agreeable for us to connect with him after we're finished with the book to do some Q&A. But we also tentatively lined him up to do our all-staff kickoff with the new book, which is called The 21st Smile, and it's really about living life for significance or to create a legacy. And I think people are really going to enjoy that too. And I just feel like it's a feel-good type of opportunity to, for our staff that, we spend so much time, a lot of times, providing them the technical how-to on curriculum and teaching and other things. I think it's great to be able to provide them some support in just how to work towards or live towards a fulfilling life, work and life balance. So I think that's what it'll do. So I'm excited for you guys to meet him on December 2nd. We'll do a 1-hour work session from 5 to 6, and we'll try to keep the regular meeting reasonable in length so that we're not here that much longer than we normally would be. The students also have a copy of the book, and I'll get one to Xander and Giselle before the end of the week, but we would love for you to participate when we have the book study. We usually will just assign a couple, one or more chapters. It won't be a heavy lift, and then we'll just have some open conversation about what people's takeaways were with that.
Anything for future meeting agendas anybody would like to see?
The only thing I could think of is, I know we're lucky most all the board members were able to see the CTE project, and that was great to see, and I'm probably jumping ahead when I'm looking at the agenda items with the coffee shop. I'm kind of curious, when it's the right time, I'm sure you're gonna bring it, but learn more about that opportunity, and also as the CTE project, as some of those different trades start up, I'd love to hear more about that, and so I'm sure it's coming, so I'm just probably jumping the gun there.
Yeah, it's a little, we're still in the planning stages. I mean, I know Jules developed a really great business plan essentially on how she wants to get that off the ground. We're in the early stages yet. We've done some surface level painting, remodeling, so to speak. We still have a lot of work to do in terms of getting equipment to a point of readiness and positioning the equipment in the coffee shop. But with her looking at hopefully getting that off the ground by 1st of February, maybe we'd be in a position of January of having people go over there and take a look, because we're really excited for you to see the kitchen, which is really close to being finished, just off of the black box too. Been an amazing transformation there.
I was impressed, I think, Sean, was with me when she was talking about how she was, when we're just happened to be going through that open house, how she's working with the kids on, she's, what should they serve, what type of,
right,
is interesting how involved the kids are getting at this point.
Yeah, they're super excited about it.
Well, what have we done this evening to improve education for the students in Marshalltown?
The MBA has been really, MBA has been really impactful for many families. At the end, Dr. Shruti mentioned how, a lot of those students, work, full-time jobs plus go to school just because, it's a need that they have in their family, not really because it's an option for them, but it's because they need to have that family. So it's really great that our school district is able to provide that. I was one in that situation myself where I almost dropped out of high school, to be able to, sustain our family. I'm home, and I don't think till this day my parents even, know that I almost, dropped out of high school to help them. But it's nice to see that there are programs like this that are able to help those individuals and those students to keep staying in school.
I love seeing one of our past student school board members here and leveraging that program and just the success of that para-to-teacher or student-to-para-to-teacher programs that we've had. And I'm grateful that we've been able to leverage that, even if other communities haven't had that same uptick. I think that says a lot about the community here and some of the foresight of folks on your staff there, and to pull that together. But, you know, just that it's a real need here, and we've got folks that are willing to, you know, rise to meet that need.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is credit to Shauna and then, you know, Julie in helping support. But I think a lot of the other districts, they had a hard time educating people about the opportunity, you know, and getting them to understand, no, this isn't something that's too good to be true. You can actually do this. And so kudos to Shauna for getting so many people. I remember there was a period of time where we're going, there's more people that are wanting to do it.
Going back to ask for more spots.
Yeah, from RSAI. And so, and yeah, when I've had the opportunity to talk about it with other superintendents or others, I mean, they're just astonished at how many people in a district of our size we've had take us up on that opportunity. And to your question earlier, it's definitely going to be worse trying to figure out, you know, if this money or the monies that are being used to help support this dry up, we definitely have to find a way to try to recreate or create most of it and have it still be appealing to people so that we can fill our pipelines. So.
I think that our board did a good job just tonight with our board meeting through the presentations, achieving our vision. You know, because we provided experiences through the TPRA program, through the FFA program, you know, being able to put them out into the, you know, diverse world and give them experiences that will positively impact their life.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that by year's end, you'll hear from 3 other new student organizations, CTSOs, for industrial arts, family consumer science, and business, because, I mean, we had a perfect example of how these experiences can really position kids for future success. And Tara's just done a phenomenal job building this program for us from scratch. And these kids take a lot of pride in being part of that organization, and you know, hopefully those other CTSOs will have the same thing with other kids.
Okay, if there's nothing else, that'll be the end of most of the open part of the meeting. We need let's take about a 5-minute break so everybody can leave, and then we'll go into closed session.
Grab supper if you have them.
Except us.
Except us. You guys can leave.